Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Big Three, the podcast where we unpack the biggest stories and insights shaping influencer marketing and the creator economy. I'm your host, Ceci Carloni. Joining me today is Kaleigh Moore, writer, AEO strategist, and B2B LinkedIn creator. She works with SaaS companies to create stronger content and improve their visibility in AI-generated answers. We invited Kaleigh to the pod today because she has been closely tracking some shifts happening in marketing right now, the rise of AI search, LinkedIn's growing investment in B2B creators, and the increasing value of trusted voices outside a brand's own channels. Kaleigh, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. How's everything going?
Things are good. Thanks for having me. This is really exciting. And I think we're going to get into a lot of interesting stuff today that's just kind of emerging. It's all very new. So I'm excited to talk more about it.
Yeah, it's all very new and all very relevant and exciting, I think. But yeah, Kaleigh, I introduced you at a very high level, so I would like to kick things off with a maybe a more formal introduction. Tell us a bit more about yourself, your background, and the work that you're doing in the creator economy.
Yeah. So I have been a full time content marketer for the last 12 years, coming up on 13. Been self employed that whole time. I've mostly worked with enterprise software companies like Stripe, Shopify, AT&T, IBM. And then over the last 18 months, things started changing really quickly. So I pivoted and am working more in a B2B creator capacity these days. I have a newsletter where I write about AI search, and I made this shift because the content marketing work was really kind of drying up, if I'm being totally honest. And so I had a journalism background. I've also been a contributor to Forbes, Vogue Business, a few of the kind of big major business publications. And so I'm taking that expertise and now pointing it towards AI search and this whole new equation that everybody's trying to solve for how do we get cited by ChatGPT and in Google AI overviews, as well as like how does the creator economy tie into all this? A lot of my reporting work was also on the creator economy. So just following those threads naturally to this next iteration of my career. And that's kind of where I am now.
Yeah. Kaylee, I'm curious about what led you into the AER space specifically.
So like I said, I'd been in content marketing for a decade,
Yeah.
and that was largely SEO work. So working on search engine optimization, that now is very quickly shifting to become AEO,
The
which is
evolution of
answer.
it.
Yeah, answer engine optimization. It's basically the way people are searching and finding answers to questions is changing very quickly, and that has always kind of been an SEO play strategically in the past. Now it's becoming this more multi-layered cross-departmental effort with AI visibility, and so that's just kind of the next iteration of this, I feel, and so I followed where things are shifting, and I've tried to stay really in the loop, get very hands-on with a bunch of tools. So yeah, it was just felt like the next natural progression.
Absolutely. Kaylee, let's go a bit deeper. I know that you use the term creator AEO a lot for someone hearing the term for the first time. Tell us, what does it mean and how is it different from the way brands have, traditionally approach SEO or content marketing?
Yeah, so creator AEO is basically tapping into the idea that LLMs weigh and cross verify information the same way that humans do, which is the further that a source is from brand control, the more trustworthy it is. So, creator AEO is a strategic play where brands are mobilizing different types of creators, whether they're employee creators or hired creators like a traditional influencer, customer creators. I feel like everything is shifting towards we are very drawn now to first person storytelling, and that is the basis of the creator economy. And with B2B caring so much about AI search visibility, it has roped creators into this conversation in a way that they were kind of excluded before. So, creator AEO, like I said, is them tapping into people with audiences that are already established. They have trust, they have authority, they have influence. They're leveraging that for their AI search work because it's a cross verification from an external third party. So that's the very short version.
Okay, I think the next question that I have for you sort of double downs or goes a bit deeper into what you were just mentioning now. Brands have spend years investing in websites, blogs, and other, content they control. Why might those own channels no longer be enough to build visibility in AI generated answers?
The thing that the research is showing right now is that so much of AI visibility and citation generation is happening on off-site places. So, Reddit, YouTube, LinkedIn, these kind of community forums where
Yeah.
people are consuming creator content. Again, natural tie in here for the people who are out there creating their audiences and building authority. This is where a lot of the opportunity lies. LLMs, kind of in the same way that an editor wouldn't trust a press release, they don't always
Yeah.
necessarily trust super heavily brand issued content, which is traditionally the blog or the
That
newsletter
makes
or the
sense.
company LinkedIn page. So this is kind of where this is heading.
Okay. So, quick follow up on that. What do you think an independent creator can signal that a company cannot credibly signal about itself?
That's a good question, and I think it varies because employee creators at a company can be a really great way for companies to kind of work around the
Yeah.
having somebody that's totally external to the organization. I think what they do well, though, is they have the trust of their audiences, they have their attention, there's this sense of rapport with them, especially if they're a niche creator with a very specific laser-focused topic area. If there is a brand or a tool or a product that naturally aligns with that audience, it's a really natural fit for them to either try the tool and recommend it or demo a workflow, show the product in
Mm.
action, because that you have this audience of people who are already ready and willing to hear about it. So again, I feel like this is just more strategic marketing and it is influencer marketing, but coming at it from a more proactive approach rather than reactive, which is kind of fielding
Uh,
inbound and, it's kind of gone the other way historically sometimes.
yeah. Okay, so what I know I have a lot of questions about what this means for brands, but the first thing that I can think of is should brands think of creator AEO primarily as a creator marketing strategy, search strategy, or some, hybrid, something that requires those teams, those two separate approaches to start working together differently?
My favorite version of this equation is you have an internal employee roster of creators who are kind of the anchor to this type of program. They're very much tied to the AI search objectives and what you're
Yeah.
trying to accomplish there, the topics you're trying to own and become the authority on. And then the external creators are amplifying that. So they're in the comments, they're co authoring reports, you're doing webinars together, you are promoting conferences and events together. There are moments for these teams to overlap with each other. I do think you need both of them, and not every company has the availability or resources to
Yeah.
do that. And I think that's why we're seeing so many companies just fully invest in hired influencers and creators within the B2B context. And that's totally fine. But the most successful version I've seen of this is both of those initiatives working together and having a little bit of overlap in the Venn diagram.
Okay. I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about it in a minute. Now I wanna now that we have like the creator AEO in piece already set up, I want to bring the conversation. I want to bring LinkedIn into the conversation because it
Mm,
seems to be where a lot of this is taking shape. Let's talk about LinkedIn and the rise of B2B creators. We know the platform is expanding creator partnerships, thought
mhm.
leader ads, creator payments, and other tools built around individual voices. What did this move tell you about the role LinkedIn wants creators to play in the B2B ecosystem?
I think they're making a lot of investments that are very creator focused. And it's for a good reason. I think they know the AI search visibility play in all of this. The articles that
Um,
you publish on LinkedIn or as a newsletter can be cited in as little as 24 hours. There's a lot of opportunity here because LinkedIn has such a high domain ranking that it's very trustworthy. It's weighted very heavily, goes back and forth as the number 2 and number 3 kind of offsite thing that is cited by the major engines. And I think that creators, again, it's just a B2B platform for people to share stories. And because people are adapting this LinkedIn influencer creator mentality, we have these emerging voices now on the platform where brands are partnering with them to launch products and to show use cases. And so it's a professional audience. They have money to spend. They are considering different tools. It just makes a lot of sense for them to really focus on creators because LinkedIn is a person to person platform. It's a community forum.
It
It
is.
is all of these things that make for a really prime real estate for creator partnerships. I
Yeah.
think authenticity is a big piece of this equation we
I was
probably need
gonna
to talk
say
about.
trust. Yes.
Yeah.
Authenticity and trust.
Yeah. But yeah, it's also new. It's all new and I think people are throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what works, self included. Some are better than others and there's just a lot of learning happening right now.
Absolutely. 100%. Let me ask you a quick follow-up question on that. Kaylee, why do you think a platform shift matters so much, specifically for AI visibility?
You mean for
When
LinkedIn?
when we talk about all the changes that LinkedIn is pushing, yes.
Yeah. I think that LinkedIn knows it is in a prime spot to be one of the top citation sources. They've seen the data, they're putting out their own data. Other companies are saying, hey, LinkedIn, Reddit, YouTube, these are kind of the big three right now. And so by leveraging their existing community, their users, and giving them this new way to use the platform, to engage the platform, it increases their value exponentially. So it positions them to be a very important social network in a way that potentially in the future, Instagram has become a great sales channel for B2C. This is LinkedIn's chance to become that sales channel, but for B2B.
100%. I'm curious. I'm very curious about your answer to the next question. Curious and excited, I have to admit, because we've been talking about B2B creators for the last 15 minutes. But yeah, I would love for you to describe it. I think that the term B2B creator can cover, many different people. What separates on your view, from your view, sorry, what separates a credible specialist B2B creator from someone, that simply posts frequently about business on YouTube, on LinkedIn?
I think a B2B creator is someone who has a subject matter that they focus on. They are
Okay.
very focused. So maybe it is financial independence. Maybe they talk about that. Maybe they talk about AI search. Maybe they talk about corporate humor. And I think there are people are kind of finding their lanes with this work. I think it can take a lot of shapes and forms. Some people really like long form writing. So they'll do the newsletter as their primary area of focus. A lot of people are leaning into video on LinkedIn, which I think is super interesting. It just depends. I think people are testing out different formats. They're trying comedy. I'm seeing a lot of comedy on there now. I'm seeing fashion
Yeah,
content. I'm seeing it almost become Instagram or Tumblr esque because people are sharing more personal stories. And yes, they might be
100%.
talking about a specific swim lane. They have a topical focus, but they're tying in their personality and pop culture and their lives. And so it's just becoming a new version of itself right now.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Kaylee. Do you like the shift that you mentioned happening with people sharing more their personal stories and things like that? I've personally have appreciated some of the experts that I follow, some of the thought leaders that I follow. Sharing and their personal stories and opening more like their personal side. What is your view on that?
I think it's great. I think, especially right now in a job market that's very difficult, I think it's really nice to see people being vulnerable and talk about how hard it is to find a job right now. You see a lot of people helping each other in those types of conversations. I'm also seeing people get very weird with LinkedIn content, like a lot of comedy, a lot of what you would traditionally expect to see on a platform like TikTok or Instagram is now coming over to LinkedIn, but it's got this professional coding on it. So it'll be
Yeah.
about B2B marketing or it'll be about being a millennial working at a 9 to 5 job where you're still having to go in office. So it is its own thing and I think it's finding its footing, but I enjoy it and I think it's fun and it's interesting to see the experiments that are happening
Yeah,
there.
it goes back to the analogy of the spaghetti on the wall that you mentioned before.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
you've got to try things.
Yeah. Kaylee, I want to go back to something that you mentioned before, the internal experts versus external creators. I want to go back to that conversation. I know that you also have written about brands using external creators when their internal experts maybe lack the time or interest to publish. What can external creators contribute, and where do internal subject matter experts still have an advantage?
Yeah, I'll start with the internal experts. I think that they're very close to the product, close to the customers. They are solving problems related to the brand and the tool and its ICP every single day. So they have these very specific and technical, often insights that an external creator could never even dream of
Yeah,
having enough familiarity to create content that's that specific and unique. What I do think that they can offer is they take the product, they figure out, okay, here's a use case that makes sense for me and for my audience. And it might be things that people internal to the company never would have thought of. So they both have
100%.
unique
Yeah,
benefits. Yeah. And I think creators are creative. They come up with really interesting use cases that informs the future product development for these companies.
yeah,
So it's got so many ripple effects of being a positive investment. It's workflows, it's showing the product in action, and it's coming up with these new use cases, especially with AI tools that have a MCP where you can basically solve any problem you could ever think of. And creators are coming up with very unique ways to use the product, and I think it's a great play for helping build out that product roadmap moving forward.
yeah. Well, so Kaylee, let's say a brand sees the opportunity. I guess the next question becomes how to act on it, right? Without treating creators like just another distribution channel. So let's go deeper into how brands can actually leverage B2B creators. Let's start on choosing the right partner, which is the first step, right? Tell us what should a brand actually look at before choosing a B2B creator.
Yeah, I think the low hanging fruit for this question is who's out there already organically without payment creating YouTube videos or creating posts where they're saying, I love this tool, I use it all the time. Those are people who are already your biggest fans. And if the content
Yeah,
is good that they're putting out, that is a great creator to partner with. The second level of that is there are all these matching platforms now. There are agencies who are matching brands with
yeah,
creators. Again, this is the same thing that B2C has been doing for years. And now B2B, there are all these new agencies spinning up for matching partners. So I know Creator Match is a big one, but there's new ones evolving all the time. And I think that that's another way that platforms and creators are finding each other. I think the third bucket is creators are getting smart and kind of cold pitching the brands that they want to work with.
yeah.
So they might do a free video and send it via a LinkedIn DM and say, hey, I made this. I'd really love to work with you. I'm already using your product. So even if they haven't shared it publicly, they are strategically cold pitching the brands they do want to partner with. And so there are a few different ways that this is all unfolding and that the two entities are kind of finding each other.
Yeah. Well, in this process of finding, the right creator, the right partner, do you think there are some warning signs that maybe don't directly, appear in a creator's basic engagement numbers that brands should be looking out for?
Yeah, I think follower count is becoming pretty irrelevant at this point. I think the real metric to pay attention to are things like impression and engagement rate. How consistently are they showing up and posting on the platform? Are they a consistent user or do they post for 3 weeks and then disappear for 3 months? So what is their publishing
Yeah.
cadence like on the platform? That's a big one. I think there's so much opportunity here for reverse engineering who's earning citations already. So if you are using creators for the purpose of earning AI citations, do some research and see who's being cited
Who's
in the
already
core.
getting that?
Yeah, who's getting the answers to those questions? Who's showing up in the things that you are trying to rank for? Whose videos, whose LinkedIn articles? That's a good way to reverse engineer as well.
Yeah. Well, Kaylee, so we done the research. We have our creator partner. We choose the creator. What's next? How do you build a partnership that actually compounds? I would love to hear from your point of view. What do you think is what does a well structured B2B partnership look like?
Yeah, a few key points. So a long-term partnership, the quick one-off almost never performs well, so you need it to be a
Yeah.
long-term engagement, 3 to 6 to 12 months long. You need to give them a brief. They need to be informed and have the information, but they need the editorial leeway to make it their own voice, make it resonate with their
Yeah.
audience. They know that better than you do as the brand. So give them the freedom to make it sound like their own content. And I think it needs to not be super prescriptive. So the engagement needs to have some creative freedom so that the creator can go out there and create something that they know has historically worked well, a format or a tone or a genre of video. Like, don't tell them we want this to look like this and it needs to say these words. Like,
Yeah.
let them put their
That doesn't
own
work.
fingerprints on it. Yeah, yeah. So I think that that's the secret. I think you find the people who are already enthusiastic about your company, or you find them, you connect them however you need to. You book them long term because that's building that authenticity. This is not just a quick
100%.
pay to post. There's real buy in from both sides of the equation. And then you iterate, you try different formats, you test things, you see what works, what doesn't, and you adapt over that
Yeah.
6 to 12 month partnership.
Yeah. Kaylee, you mentioned authenticity a few times in the conversation already. I also mentioned trust. We know that authenticity is key in creator partnerships. Do you think it's especially important when it comes to B2B creators?
I do because I think the purchasing decisions that they're influencing are very, very high dollars. So if you're selling software, if you're selling a tool, if you're selling services, those are typically not just a quick $20 t-shirt that you're
Yeah.
buying. So you
Higher
can't
rate.
copy paste the B2C thing over to B2B. You have to think about these are really important purchasing decisions. There has to be a lot of trust and authority from both creator and brand.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be very careful and selective. I don't think it's something you just book a bunch of influencers to do and you test it and you say, oh, we tried it, it didn't work. I think you have to be very strategic about your long term game plan with this. It's not something to just tick off and say, oh, CMO, we did it. We have creators who are talking about the product. It
Yeah.
needs to be here's what we're going to do for the next 6 to 12 months. And here are the metrics. Here's the return on investment. And here's the AI visibility impact we've seen. So there's a lot of reporting that needs to happen on the back end.
Great. Let's talk about that because that was actually my next question. Measuring the success of the campaign or even the business value. So, how should brands measure whether a B2B creator partnership is actually improving AI visibility and contributing to business outcomes?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to track this right now. There are emerging tools that are helping track offsite citation
Yeah.
generation. And so a lot of the tools right now are geared towards blog content, your own website, the things that you own, tracking things on LinkedIn, Reddit, YouTube. This is much harder because you can't scrape those platforms. So I feel like there has to be some kind of manual tracking right now. You are looking
Okay.
at conversions, but I think the larger conversation here and the larger thing that people struggle with, as they always have with SEO as well, is that this is a long term play. It's not always a direct, immediate sale, especially for something like B2B where the sales cycle is super long. It's a big purchasing decision. It's not quick. It doesn't happen in one click. It's usually we're thinking about it, we're researching it, we're doing the demo, blah, 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 blah. And I think that that makes it harder to attribute. So it is hard. I think AI citations and share of voice and just general sentiment are good indicators of success or maybe failure, but it's hard. It's still very hard to track right now.
Yeah. Okay. So I think yeah that you slightly mentioned this before, but if we talk about evidence, not measurement, what evidence would make this investment easier to defend to, let's say, a CFO or a senior leadership team?
Yeah, I think if citations can be tied to lead generation or maybe inbound on LinkedIn, we're seeing our CEO, our CFO, our CMO get more inbound DMs on LinkedIn, people asking questions or being curious about the brand. That's a good signal. Like I said though, it's really hard to make it click attribution.
I
A
know.
lot of
Yeah.
this work is still brand building, it's demand generation. It is not necessarily demand capture at this point. So in the same way that you kind of think about a billboard, I feel like we're kind of in the billboard phase of that's what this work is
Yeah.
for. You're building brand awareness, you're generating just general buzz around the company and its culture and its products. And that is helpful, but it's harder to attribute.
Yeah. I might be jumping ahead of myself here, but do you think if we have this exact same conversation next year, we will have some more efficient ways to measure the success of
I
this,
do.
of
I do.
AI visibility?
I do. I think that is the next thing that is coming down the pipeline. And I've gotten hands on with a few of the tools that are solving for this. It is coming, it is helpful, it is the thing we need. So it's right around the corner. And I think that's why I'm saying right now, we just kind of have to be patient and experiment because it is a learning phase before we get these tools that can do the tracking we need
Great.
to make all this more data based. And then you can make data informed decisions about what do we invest in. Right now, it's wild, wild west.
So don't be quick to say that it doesn't work. Right.
Yeah, yeah, if you're starting now, you're in a great position because then when these tools do come along, you have the program established, you've already
Exactly.
experimented, you have your people, you've scooped up the right influencers before the demand gets super
Yeah.
crazy. It's great to start early.
Yeah. Well, I think this is actually a great setup for my next question. And again, we've talked about how to choose in the right partners, how to execute, how to measure the success. From your experience and from what you've seen across the board right now, what do you think is the common mistake that brands, make when they try to use B2B creators for, authority and visibility? And why does that mistake weaken the partnership?
I think the thing I see the most of right now is just companies who want to do the one off campaign. It's a quick one time post and then they never talk about it again. I just feel like that is almost a little bit hurtful and damaging to the brand reputation because it feels to me as an audience member like a cash grab. Like, oh, our marketing team was told to do this. And so we did it and now we're done. Whereas a long term investment in a partnership with a person who has an audience feels more like an actual true, there's synergy on both sides, right? Like, this
Uh,
is not just a quick, they paid me X amount to do this, which it just registers very differently. And again, it goes back to authenticity. Do you want to buy from the person who's been recommending this one company for the past 3 years? Or are you going to maybe trust
Yeah,
the one off LinkedIn post you see for one day?
yeah,
I, I just
100%.
feel like it makes sense.
Yeah. Kaylee, I think, yeah, before we wrap, I want to, look ahead at where this could be going. And I know that I jumped ahead of myself before, and maybe we slightly already covered this. But I know you believe creator AEO will become a major topic through 2026 and into 2027. What could brands that start building these relationships now gain before the rest of the market catches up?
I think finding those perfect fit creators who are already building an audience within your niche, that is a great thing to get a jump start on. We also talked a little bit about experimentation. So, figuring out which
Yeah.
format and tactics and styles work best and produce the metrics that you do care about. I also, this is kind of off the cuff, but I think webinars are back. And I think creators
Okay.
coming partners coming in as creator partners for these, it helps with distribution, it helps with reach. It's tactical, it's actionable. It's a really great way to grow your newsletter list too. If you're a company that's trying to build audience insights, you can
Yeah.
start collecting info from them through the newsletter avenue. So, yeah, I think there are lots of great things to start on now.
Okay. What is the first practical step that a brand should take if it wants to begin without trying, to build an enormous program from day one, or like you said, start testing before all
Yeah.
those platforms and tools catch up.
Yeah, I think a great place to start would just be look at what your competitors are doing. That not to inform your process, but to see what they're trying and what they're testing and who they're talking to. That might be a great jumping off point to start. Okay, what kinds of people and what kinds of posts are they doing?
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of great tools out there also for just a general AEO audit. So where do we stand right now? What's the gaps? What are the opportunities that we can fill with creator partnerships, with content creation from those? And I just think setting some benchmarks for, okay, we want to see a chat GPT citation lift of 10% in the next quarter. Having some general benchmarks once you have that audit
Really
in
help.
place will help you see how you're doing as time goes on because this is kind of a moving target and it's good to have just a loose, here's what we're trying to accomplish plan.
Love it. Love it. Kaylee, I think that this has been a great conversation. We really covered everything that I wanted to cover. Is there anything else that you want to share with us? Any final comments or parting thoughts to leave our audience with?
I would just say if you're not on LinkedIn right now, building a customer advocacy, employee advocacy creator program there. You should start today. And for people who want to find me, I have a newsletter called Context Window, and I publish there once a week with lots of things we just talked about, where I go very much down into the weeds on that so they can find me there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again for joining us, Kaleigh. Again, I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your insights.
Thank
And
you.
for everyone listening in, we'll see you next time on the Big Three. Have a great day. Bye, Kaleigh.
Bye. Thank you so much.